Jordan. I was gonna wait to do these critiques, but there's not really any reason to because it's not like an assignment where you guys are gonna update things. So no one's getting an edge, which is normally why I wait until the due date. All right, so looking at your images, you're off to a really great start for the semester. You have a solid body of work that could already start being put into the portfolio. Um, and what you're going to want to do now is look at what you have. And I don't think you want to necessarily work just with foods that are in season right now. That's kind of what you alluded to in your text. I think you want to look at these images visually and see what's missing and what needs to be added, and what might need to be taken out right now. So if we looked at this body of work, the images, the stronger images, I think you have these really simple images. So image number, let's rearrange these. Image number 4, I think those really simple images, or image number 9, those work really well and have a nice kind of pause for us as we move through a portfolio. So images like that, or image 6, are going to be really important to create some space as we move through a portfolio. But an image like image number 3 adds some excitement, right? We have the powdered sugar falling on the berries, and that really adds a nice element that will liven us up as we're looking through a portfolio. Or image 7, visually you've created more than just a scene about food, right? You're creating a whole atmosphere here with the basket and the cherries. So that is a nice added element that shows more skill for someone that would want to hire you. So images like that. Now, looking at this as a series, image number 5 really stands out right now. It stands out because you have this turquoise plate, which is much different in tonality than any of the other images. So this image might end up working in your final series, but if I was editing down these 10 images, that would be the first image that I would edit out because of those bright colors and how they're not visually cohesive with your other images. So like I said, not an image that you need to be taking out once you build this portfolio out some, but at this point, that would be an image to pull out. It also has colors that are really bringing importance to the plate. And I'm not sure that that's the wisest use of color in this image. So it might end up being something that you edit out, but I don't think based just on the color, it's something that we would edit out at this point. I put these in Lightroom instead of Bridge just because I wanted to click through and see if you're holding on to all of your highlights. There were only a couple that I was concerned about. Yeah, so it looks like you just have the couple of specular highlights here. It's just the lemon one is the other one, and I think that was just specular highlights. Yeah, you're really holding on to your highlights. Okay, so there's no issue with that in any of these images. This image is a little bit awkward for me. So I think that just the size and scale is so confusing for me. At first I thought that you had used a really wide angle lens, but you're using a 50mm lens. So the lemons look so small, and then the vegetable on top looks so large, and the crab looks small. So it's kind of this optical illusion for me. Like right now I'm looking at those and I'm like, I thought it was green onions, but maybe it's a leek, like maybe it's much larger than I think. So that scale is just off. And then the crab looks pretty small compared to what's on top of it. And the lemons look really small. So the size and scale just feels really off on this. And then in some images, you're using the depth of field in a way that allows part of the image to fall out of focus, and I think that works really well. Here, as those, I'm just going to say vegetables because I want to call them green onions, but as the vegetables are coming towards us, they fall out of focus, but in a way that I think is much more distracting. Now, if we look at, like, this image is an easy one to look at, right? and say that it falls out of focus, and that makes a lot of sense. We have a point of focus. A strawberry is an even better focus than this is back here, and we know where our point of focus is, and then we move back. But when something in the foreground that has a line like that does here, that starts to be a little bit more of a distraction. Let's see, I think this had, oh, that doesn't have a shallower depth of field. You keep pretty good focus in all of them. Obviously, there's a strategic way for you to use depth of field and to have it falling off. It works well here. We have the pie in the foreground, but I think this image falls off a little bit with that. The only other thing that I wanted to give you a critique on is the lighting. I think that you're doing really well with the lighting in most of your images, but I think you can possibly be a little bit more precise. And your commercial photography class will help you with this. He'll be very critical of it. I'm going to be looking more at the overall portfolio and giving you feedback in that sense, and he'll be giving you feedback more on individual images and the lighting and whatnot. I'll do that as well, but he'll be more into the nitty gritty of that. So for me, when I look at image number 9 of the lemons, it seems like a little bit more light could be added to the back side here. That really starts to get dark in a way that I think these brighter areas of green could make it stand out and make that whole bit of parsley pop. So playing around, I think, a little bit more with smaller flags to be able to get a little bit more precision with your lighting, I think will come with that 365 class. So overall, I think you're coming into this class at exactly where we hope for. You have really strong images. You have a good style about your images already. They all already look like they're cohesive and were shot by the same photographer. So your hand is very apparent in them. And now it's just about refining what you feel is missing, what you want to add. Do you want these all to be close up? Do you want more like back up and have more of a lifestyle image? Do you want to include images like that? Do you want to include images of like more colors, or do you want to keep this color palette? These are things that we're going to figure out. One more critique I'll give you is just to watch your reflections, right? So in this image, the reflections start to be really distracting. Seeing whatever else is going on in your room. So starting to work on either editing that post-processing to however much of a degree that you can, but making sure that you're keeping that as clean as possible as you're actually shooting. But great start. I'm thrilled to work with you this semester. It should be fun.